The Shallows is a thriller directed by Jorge Coyet-Serra, and it stars Blake Lively as a surfer who goes on an expedition off the coast of Tijuana, Mexico. While she's out riding the waves, she becomes attacked by a seriously big freaking shark. And while she's injured, she's stuck on a cluster of rocks just off the coastline, while the shark encircles her, waiting to make her next meal. So straight off the bat, let me just say, I'm a big fan of shark movies. I like the idea that you can't see what's below the surface. To me, the best way to build suspense in a horror movie is that whole idea that you can't see what's behind the door or below the surface, that sort of thing. So shark movies are ideal in creating tension. I mean, in my collection, you're going to find things going from the good, such as Open Water, which I was a really big fan of, to things like Shark Attack 3 Megalodon. Trust me, it's awesome! I'm not a big fan of your Sharknadoes and Super Shark versus Mega Octopus and Hyper Jellyfish versus Radioactive Shark from Mars or whatever the hell. Not a big fan of those kind of ones. I do like my shark movies when they're taken a little bit more seriously, which doesn't really explain why I like Shark Attack 3 Megalodon. So I've got to hand it to The Shallows. It's not a bad movie. Jorge Coyet-Serra has done some pretty good action movies in the past, particularly with Liam Neeson. I was a really big fan of Non-Stop and Unknown. And this time around, he's put together quite a well-crafted movie. The things I liked the most, Blake Lively's performance was quite believable. I thought she actually really did good in like the times of stress, that kind of thing, of which, let's face it, there was a lot of those. The makeup effects work was extremely well done, especially one part where Blake Lively's character Nancy is tending to a wound on her leg, and I gotta admit, even for a hardcore gore fan like me, I was cringing throughout most of that bit. And I liked the whole minimalist approach to the movie. I liked that it was just about this woman versus a shark. It was about man versus beast. It was about Blake versus Flake. Thank you. I prepared that one earlier. I also really dug the way that they created Nancy's backstory through the use of phone conversations, that sort of thing, and they superimposed chat screens on the screen in a way. It was quite effectively done, and just, something a little bit different. I was also impressed by the cinematography. There were some really nice shots in the film, some great use of color, that sort of stuff. And I also really dug Nancy's character. She was a very proactive person, a very quick thinker, and quite, creative with whatever she had lying around, which, let's face it, wasn't much. So yeah, I dug her character a lot. But one of the big things that let it down for me was that there just wasn't an overall lasting sense of tension throughout the whole thing. Sure, you had your moments where there was some really, armchair gripping stuff, but overall, it didn't last throughout the whole runtime. When you've got moments where she's on the rock and the shark's circling her, you kind of felt that she was safe and she wasn't in any sort of danger. So moments where she has to get from point A to point B through the water, that kind of thing, was really well done, and there definitely was tension there. But yeah, it just didn't spread throughout the whole thing. And another thing, I just kind of felt the tone was a little unbalanced. Like, the movie kind of had the feeling that it was trying to be like a serious shark movie, but then you go into shark movie logic where this shark just sort of has a vendetta against Nancy and is just, kind of has like a personal grudge against her, which goes into your sort of more silly shark territory. So it sort of had a little bit of an uneven tone throughout the flick. And I guess I also thought the backstory stuff, like, it was essential in as much as how Nancy's character was able to deal with certain situations, that sort of thing. But it was probably, I don't know, a little bit cheesy, and I thought the ending was a little bit wishy-washy as well. But overall, I had a good time watching The Shallows. It's a fun movie with some great moments of suspense, and it definitely relied on the factor of wondering what's going to happen next, wondering how Nancy's going to get out of this situation, or even if she's going to get out of it at all. So I definitely appreciated the whole feeling of what's going to happen next. So despite a few flaws, I'm going to give The Shallows a 7.5 out of 10. So what did you guys think of The Shallows? Let me know what you thought. Drop me some comments either here or on Facebook, because I like to talk about movies and I would love to talk about movies with you. See you next time.
Hey you there. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Click subscribe. You see the big word up the top that says subscribe? Well, click on it. Click on it now. Do it. Yeah.